What if the type of women that you're into pull away from you, not because there's anything wrong with you, but rather your attraction for them is actually generated by the fact that they pull away from you, and that's why you choose them? This is the question we're going to be diving into today. But first, if you're new here, my name is Dan. I've been a men's dating and relationship coach for over 6 years, and I've gotten the pleasure of working with dozens of different guys, helping them develop more inner security so they can attract the kind of partner that they want. So if that's what you want, then stick around. All right, let's hop into this. So the first thing to understand about this is that you may be telling yourself that you are unlucky, or that there are no good women around or available, that all of them are taken, that you need to improve your game, and that one day in the future when you have more money, more status, more something, that then you'll be able to attract the kind of women that you want. And we have to understand that these are all illusions of the mind. They feel so real, they feel so rational. But the truth is there's something much more fundamental going on here, under the surface. And that's what I want to point you towards and I direct your attention to in this video. Because really all of those other things, although we might have some control over them, a lot of those things are outside of our control. And none of those things are addressing the root of the issue. All right. I know it might not feel this way because your current experience might be that every woman or most women that you're attracted to just seem to be right outside your reach, right outside your grasp. Maybe they even flirt with you a little bit. Maybe you guys even go on a date, or maybe she smiles, maybe you guys text and you feel like something's happening, right? But then when you actually go to escalate things and you actually go to ask her on a second date or even the first date, she just somewhat pulls away or is just being wishy-washy and not giving you a clear answer. And she's doing anything other than just giving you a fuck yes, right? And I know that pattern is super frustrating, especially when you really like somebody and especially when they're being friendly and you think that there could be something there. And then they oftentimes end up dating some other guy that is not the greatest guy. So what's going on here? Let's get to the bottom of it. The thing to understand is that attraction is not a choice. At first, we'll get into that. We'll get into the second part about how it is a choice. But first, attraction is not a choice. What we are attracted to, in large part, is conditioned by multiple factors, but we'll just focus on two. All right, our upbringing and all the programming that was instilled in us, our cultural conditioning, right? The kind of women that we saw on TV and then movies, and the kind of women we saw other men wanting and lusting afterwards. That stuff affects us. That stuff definitely affects us. And we'd be naive to say it didn't. So all that stuff affects the kind of women that we're attracted to. But then there's something even more fundamental, at the very least, just as fundamental, that pairs with this. And this is our attachment style. Now, if you don't know what attachment style is, I'm just going to give you like the quick and dirty definition of it, because that's a topic for a whole other video. But essentially, our attachment styles are the way that we were wired from childhood, and the way that we unconsciously bond or attempt to bond with other people. This was primarily created by our childhood conditioning and the relationship we had with our caregivers. And so if we had a childhood where we had caregivers, and in this case particularly our mothers, where we felt this need to have to earn their attention, to earn their approval, to earn their love, then that was shaping and wiring our nervous system in a particular way. And it taught us that in order to earn love, that's what you have to do. You have to earn it. Love is not something that's just given. Approval is not something that's just given. We're not fundamentally, inherently worthy of those things. We have to try to prove it, right? And so if that's how we were initially wired and conditioned, then that pattern stays in our nervous system and it follows follows us into adulthood, and it shows up in our romantic relationships. And it's frustrating as hell because consciously we might know, you might know, right? Like you're a good dude. Consciously, you know you're a valuable dude. You spent time working on your life, on your health, on your fitness. And it's like, why can't a woman see that? Right? But here's the thing is that you're the one who's not seeing that actually. At least not on the visceral somatic level. And that's really why all the knowledge, all the books, all the courses or videos of guys teaching, all the stuff that you've learned about attraction, it's not working because it's just on the cognitive level. We need to rewire our nervous systems. Otherwise, we're just going to be enacting the same patterns again and attracting these same dysfunctional situations that are very frustrating. So that's the first point. Attraction right now is not a choice. The kinds of women that you're attracted to, it's primarily based and designed and generated by these two things that I mentioned. Primarily your attachment system and your nervous system and the way that it's wired to literally seek out women that are not available, emotionally unavailable, or physically unavailable. Maybe they're taken. Maybe they lived long distance. Maybe they're married, or whatever the case may be. There's something there that prevents you guys from actually being together in the way that you want to. Right? It might seem like coincidence, but it's not. There's something deeper and more unconscious going on that is creating. We are the creators and generators of our world. And if we're holding on to this wiring, those are the kinds of women that we're like sending out a signal for, and we're picking up on their signal. It might not feel like there's a match because maybe you guys don't actually start to date or don't get romantic or serious in the way that you want, but actually there's a deep compatibility here that is going on. And when I say compatibility, I'm using it lightly. I don't mean there's actual compatibility. I mean that there's a congruent, a complementary force that is drawing you two together. It's the fact that she's emotionally unavailable that lulls you in, and that feels familiar to your nervous system, and it feels safe because it feels familiar, and that's what you're used to. But that's only because you're still wired that way. You can shift this dynamic. You can shift your attraction. You can start to have more conscious control over it. And when you do that, when you actually shift, rewire your nervous system, rewire who you're attracted to, then these other good-hearted women, emotionally available women that are into you will start to emerge. In truth, they've been there, but you might have just not realized it. They might have gone over your head, or you may notice them, but you may feel bored by them. This is good. Look for this boredom. This is your cue that there's likely an emotionally available woman in your life. I'm not saying you have to pursue them yet. I'm not saying that they're automatically going to be compatible with you. Chemistry is still important. You still want to feel attraction. However, don't mistake an attraction for intensity, right? It's like a refined palate. When we were younger, at least when I loved candy. I loved junk food. Right? I would eat that stuff all the time, fast food, McDonald's, all those things, right? But as I got older, I started realizing that stuff wasn't making me feel good. It wasn't even really tasting all that good. It was just intense. There was so much intensity there, right? And so my palate went developing, and eventually I stopped eating those things. In a similar way, when I first started drinking beer and wine, which I don't really drink too much now, but when I was trying to drink, when I wanted to drink in my early 20s and with my friends or whatever, I remember forcing myself to try to like beer. And I just kept drinking it despite not liking it. And eventually I actually got it. It clicked for me one day. And I just remember thinking like, wow, this is actually good. I can see now why people appreciate beer or red wine. And I started to all that stuff started to become more apparent because I started to focus on it, right? In a similar way, your palate for women can evolve, can change, can be refined. And so the first thing you need to do is just put your attention on the emotionally available women. Start interacting with them more. Don't just write them off because you feel bored by them. And ask yourself, what is the thing that is making you bored, right? Is it just a lack of intensity? Because if what you're seeking is the intensity, then yes, an emotionally available woman is not going to be able to compete with the intensity of an emotionally unavailable woman, because the emotionally unavailable woman is literally poking your wounds. It's sticking her finger into your open sore. And that, of course, that's going to be more intense. Instead of looking for intensity, what you need to do is actually teach your body, teach your nervous system, teach yourself and all the parts that live inside you, teach them that the intensity is not the same thing as attraction, and that just because there might be more compulsion here, that's not the same thing as chemistry, and it's not the same thing as compatibility. And so that you can shift that, and when you do, you will start to attract more of the kinds of women that you actually really want to be with, and the kinds of women that you can actually build a long-term fulfilling relationship with, right? So the takeaway here is that attraction is both not controllable early on when you still are rewiring your nervous system. It's literally pulling you in a certain way, but you can change it. There are things that you can do in order to fundamentally shift it, and all that begins with just placing your attention on the kinds of women that you wouldn't normally go for. And that's not saying that you don't find them attractive. I'm not telling you to go for women that you don't find attractive, but start looking at those women, the ones that you are bored with, the ones that maybe go over your head a little bit, and just talk to them. See what happens. See what you feel. And start looking for a shift where the energy of attraction, the sexual longing, and the compulsion, the chemistry, it's no longer just this super intense, like, sacral chakra, this area down here, like energy. It starts to shift up into the heart. There's more of a heart longing. There's a heart pull, a heart connection. And there's like you're literally pulled by your chest rather than by your genitals or by your head, right? That's the thing to look for. All right. So try it out. Try it out and let me know what happens. Just experiment. And let me know. And if you've already experienced something like this, then what was that experience? What happened? What was good about it? What did you not like about it? What was making you bored, right? And yeah, leave me any questions, and I'll make sure to look at them and create another video specifically for you. All right. Well, thanks guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.